The Gallowgate Shots podcast is sponsored by Tyre Spot, the North East's leading tyre supplier with branches across the region. Tyre Spot don't just do tyres, they cover everything from servicing to wheel alignment. They can handle every aspect of your car's maintenance. For more information, visit tyrespot.co.uk. Enjoy the episode.
Welcome, one and all, back to the GallowgateShots YouTube channel. We are here for yet another match preview. I am not Scott. He is away on a secret quest. I am Matthew, and I am standing in for him. But I am alongside my good friends Andy and Daryl. Daryl, you are looking resplendent, might I just say. How are you doing, sir? Are you okay?
I'm very well, especially after the win last night at the time of recording. And we just keep on marching on and winning games, don't we?
Indeed. And Andy, you are looking just as resplendent, might I just say so.
Well, I'd say Daryl's slightly more resplendent. I mean, look at the guy. What a specimen.
What a specimen indeed.
Hey.
Let's get into this. Because the good times keep on rolling. The good times do keep on rolling. And this Saturday, 12:30, we are looking for an unprecedented 10th win in all competitions. But standing in our way, who would have thought it? Who would have thought it?
Look at us.
Look at us. Who would have thought? Insert Paul Rudd gif here.
Well, that doesn't Bournemouth, isn't it?
Look
at us.
To be fair. Hopefully it'll be us in the FA Cup final this season. But in our way of said 10th win is a very, very good and informed Bournemouth side. A team that are sitting in 8th at the moment of time of recording. 11 matches undefeated, have taken scalps from the like of Man United at Old Trafford, but I don't know if that's impressive or not this season. But Man City, Arsenal, and got a good industrious point away at Stamford Bridge previously. All good stuff. Iraola's got them playing good football, attacking football. And yeah, they're doing very, very well. And they're going to be a very tough task this Saturday. Eddie Howe yet to beat Bournemouth in the league as Newcastle United manager. He has taken a scalp in the League Cup on our way to the last League Cup final. And yeah, I don't know what that sort of speaks to it in terms of stats-wise. I don't want to be too pessimistic. However, some sort of comforting stats, I believe I've got here that Scott's sent us our way in terms of the time slot. So in terms of 12:30 kickoffs, Newcastle are unbeaten in their last 6 Premier League games kicking off at 12:30, whereas Bournemouth have lost 8 of their last 11 Premier League games kicking off at 12:30 on a Saturday. So who knows? Maybe that speaks to a positive result. But all that being said, Bournemouth playing very well, Newcastle playing very well. Taking all this into account, Andy, how worried should we be? How tough is it going to be on Saturday?
Well, this is the golden question because but Bournemouth, I can't believe they're in 8th because they've just not lost in so long.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they do it every year. Obviously, we know how amazing Howe is, and he seemed to work miracles. And when they lost him, there was a lot of people, myself included, thought they would drop like a stone. And here they are, getting even better. It's insane. I mean, you look at their recent results. They've got a draw at Chelsea when, as me and you were saying beforehand, they've got no players, and they're managing to get results like that. They're through in the FA Cup.
They were winning that game till the end as well, weren't they?
Yeah, they were pretty unlucky. But they've gone on this amazing run of win, draw, win, win, and then a couple of losses, and then they'd beaten Man City, drawn at Villa, and beat Arsenal prior to that as well. The way they're playing football at the minute, it's like such a testament to how good the sort of midfield block of teams are this year, that everyone seems to have this style of play, and they're all so good at executing a game plan. Iraola, I mean, the guy is just, I knew nothing about him, and I thought it was just a typical manager that clubs put in, and then you see them on the Premier League 10 years later, and you're like, oh yeah, that guy, and they were always a bit useless, but he's found a way.
They'll skate around, like they'll get sacked from Bournemouth, and then they'll go to Watford, and then they'll go from Watford.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, look at like what was his name? Slaven Bilic, not Bilic. Was it Bilic?
Well, he was one of them.
Yeah, just goes around everywhere. And it's like, oh, is he managing them now? Almost Marco Silva until he started doing well at Fulham.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sorry, Andy.
No, it's but the way they're going at the minute, they're just unbelievable. I saw some interesting stats about them. I read an Athletic article before we came on. They give away more fouls than anyone else in the league because they do this insane man-to-man high press on everyone, no matter who they are, home or away, whether they're 3-0 down, 3-0 up. So it very much seems like it's going to be a battle of duels in midfield. It's winning those one-on-ones, and that's what they've been doing so well this season, is just gunning for everyone and just getting that bit of luck you need to get a result. Another sort of strange stat was that Semenyo, who I think we'll talk about a little bit, who's their talisman really, is the only player in the league who's had 25 shots with left foot and right foot.
Wow.
Which is, I read that and thought, I would have thought that, someone like Gordon's done that because he seems to just wallop them in from both sides. But yeah, he's the talisman. He's that sort of big player that they've still got fit. I know they lost Evan Nielsen. They've just got a long list of injuries. But like we see with Howe and what we all want with Howe, if you've got the style of play and you've got that ingrained across all your squad, not just your first 11, you can still get results even if you've got no players there. So to answer the question about how worried we should be, I think I'll give a typical Eddie Howe answer, which is we've got to be at the top of our game. There's no easy games. But these guys are genuinely really good.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for them, we're also class.
Yes, indeed. And hopefully we put a good level of class performance in on Saturday. Because I'm going to ask you a question here, Daryl, because I'm going to obviously go back to the other time we've played Bournemouth this season. A 1-1 draw down at their place. That was a pretty average, subpar performance by Newcastle, sort of rescued later on in the game by Anthony Gordon, but also getting pretty fortunate with a certain handball in quotation marks decision for get that win against Bournemouth to stop them from getting the winner late on. I'll couple this with the fact that we've just came off the back of a very good win against Wolves, 3-0. However, I think we'll all agree that in large parts of the game, we were brilliant. We were all over them. We were dictating it. We could have scored more goals, but we offered them 2 or 3 glaring opportunities. One would think that we need to do better than we did last night, and obviously better than that Bournemouth performance earlier in the season if we're going to come out winners on Saturday.
Yeah, we're going to need to control that element of the game. And I think if you remember rightly, going back to that game at Bournemouth, that came at a time in the season where we were fairly inconsistent. We had started off by not playing very well, but picking up points. And then it was just as we were transitioning into that period of not doing either. And we were playing pretty badly and, not picking up those points. And it was sort of that little period where it was bad. And then we started playing well and still not picking up points. And now obviously we've all had, we all know about the tactical change that's been made in midfield. And now all of a sudden we're on this 9-game unbeaten run in all competitions. And I think, you mentioned before about it being a key battle is going to be how the midfield, winning the game will be in the middle of the park. And who bets against our midfield at the minute? Because it's just superb.
Not a white. Oh, but get in.
Cheers.
Whoever's putting the Paul Rudd gif in, put in the drum roll. Bang, Andy. That's you've just got 5 points. Well done. You've just got 5 points.
What do I win?
My respect.
Right. Oh, the best prize of all.
But yeah, I mean, our form now is speaking volumes, and I think it could be quite a tight game on Saturday. They are in good form themselves. They've had a couple of defeats, but they're sort of like, as Andy said, they're sort of like under the radar, doing really well. Not as well as us, obviously, because of our form, but I think it's going to be an interesting game. It really is.
I was saying to Andy before we started recording about when I saw Wolves and Bournemouth next after that fantastic run we've had. This has been amazing, and I'm not going to talk about it in the past tense because I really believe that we can kick on. It's just such a huge opportunity because obviously you look at the win at Man United. I don't care what anyone says. We do not have a good record at Man United. That is the second time in our lifetimes that we've won there in the Premier League. Amazing. We go to the new Spurs Stadium, win there, and then we do what we do in the Cup against Arsenal. But when you see Wolves and Bournemouth at home back to back, and you are the most informed team pretty much in England, and especially in the top tier, you'd like to think on paper you're going to take 6 points, but this is Newcastle United we're talking about. We sometimes find a way to not do what's expected of us. So to get the win, in whatever circumstance last night, 3-0, amazing. But this is the second big litmus test. You're coming up against a very, very good Bournemouth side at home. So we're hoping, yes, we can get the 3 points. But let's say we do get the 3 points, Andy. After that, We've got Southampton and Fulham, and with that run of fixtures, how much of an opportunity is this to really cement ourselves in the top half, the top four, and really build a platform to get top tier European football?
Well, solidifies us in the top one if you listen to Alan Shearer.
Yeah.
I think he needs to chill out a little bit.
Yeah.
No, definitely a massive opportunity. Funnily enough, as we record this, Man United are losing to Southampton, and Amarin
Oh my
said,
goodness!
yeah, talking about Southampton, they might be on a high. So, but Amarin made the point about how they obviously got an amazing result against Arsenal in the cup, and he said, "I'll learn more about my team in this game against Southampton than I will in that game." And we made a similar point at for the Wolves preview, where we said, "Yes, we know this team can turn up against the big boys. You know, big boys. I know they're a bit of the fallen giants now, but going to these places and doing things that we've never done before, you learn a lot more about the team and what the mentality is like when you're playing quote unquote lesser teams. I know Bournemouth are obviously really good, but turning up to Wolves and putting an all right performance in, but you know the same mentality to defend the goal, the same sharpness in front of goal. That's what we've been missing in those sort of earlier runs in the season. And we said in that preview as well that there was concerns earlier in the season that we couldn't do it against the sort of lesser teams when it's not the big occasion. Maybe the crowd's not quite as up for it, but I think you can see a real sense of belief again in the team. And I don't know if it was Edwards, it was one of the journalists made the point about Newcastle in that what you said there about how, oh, this is Newcastle, that is becoming a thing of the past now. We don't really think that way anymore. We think, no, this is Newcastle. We can kick on and do amazing things. And I think the Cup run's another example of that, where, you know, we win the quarter final and we're not really as excited. We're kind of just like, yep, we can do the business this time. And it feels like that in the league as well, where it's just like, get the business done, get the job done. We're a class team. And I think we're all slowly coming to terms with that. But all it takes is a bad performance and a loss. And suddenly it's something we're so not used to that the bubble bursts. So we've just got to keep going. And I think they can.
I completely agree. You've put it very succinctly and well there, Andy, because I mean, I don't want to go into it too much, but obviously we did a watch along for the Man United game. And I'm obviously a terrible person to watch Newcastle games with. I'm pessimistic, but at the same time, yeah, it's informed by, because someone said to me in the comment section, "Oh, this is, you know, you're full of shit. Like your negativity is stupid." Like,
sorry, I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, but effectively they were saying you don't have trust in Eddie Howe and the players, and I couldn't be further from the truth. It couldn't be fair. I love these players. I love Eddie Howe. Like, long may this group of players and Eddie Howe evolve, and it's amazing. I love it. The only reason I get nervous is because obviously you've been hurt in the past, and you just think, oh my God, like Dr. Newcastle will see you now. And you are right though, because slowly but surely, even the likes of me, you're starting to come around to the fact that, well, maybe we're not that team anymore. There will be the odd result, but it happens with everyone. You know what I mean? It happens with your top teams sometimes. Like, that's football. You know, you get a team that's doing terribly and they go away somewhere and they somehow pick a result out of the back pocket. But yeah, I think you're dead spot on that. We need to start coming around to the fact that we can compete, and not that we can compete. We've known that for a couple of years, but you know what I mean. We're not this basket case where we're doing amazing, and then just something will trip us up. I mean, for example, I think I might be wrong here. Someone might want to correct me. I think the last time we were on the precipice of doing this 10 games in a row thing, or it was some sort of home record, was in the Championship under Rafa Benitez. And who were we playing to get the record? But Blackburn Rovers at home. And Blackburn were bottom of the league. And they went down comfortably. Right. They did the double overs that season. And I know I'm talking about years ago. And we're talking about a Championship Newcastle, a totally different entity. So please don't come for me. But I'm just saying, it's little things like that that sort of dig away at your brain, that even when things are going amazing, you sort of... But yeah, you're right, Andy. And I'm going to...
It's not that long ago. We've still got one of those players. Lascelles is still hanging around.
True.
So it's not that long ago.
But you know what I'm trying to say is basically.
No, that's what I'm backing your point up.
Yeah,
it's
thanks,
like,
mate. Thank you. I appreciate that. But no, I am. The positivity is raining down upon me. I am over the moon, and I am confident that we can hopefully do something. And speaking of confidence, let's keep going. Let's keep going with this confidence and this optimism, because we have one of the best strikers in world football at the moment on current form. The best going. Absolutely amazing. Will Osula is absolutely... No, obviously, he's a lovely lad, and I wish him the very best and hope he keeps getting more minutes. But Alexander Isak, unbelievable. He's on this amazing run of form. Daryl, if he scores against Bournemouth, That's 9 in a row. 9 Premier League games in a row he scored. After that, it's Southampton and Fulham. Gets them 2. He equals Jamie Vardy's record. Is it too early to start peaking over? Isak doesn't care about these records. He said such in post-match interviews. I'd be surprised if he said anything else, to be honest. But maybe he's just starting to think, hang about, like, I could do something here. So do you think, all being well and being fit, that he has a chance at least equaling that record?
It's funny you asked me this, because talking to a lad at work today, and he now stands alone in his own little world in terms of being a Newcastle record scorer in consecutive games after he edged out ahead of Shearer and Willock against Wolves. And to be honest, I think he'll do it. I think he will. I don't see why he shouldn't. Another 2 games to go, and then another big test after that. But why shouldn't he do it? He's class. His teammates are class. They're playing for him. You just have to look at Bruno's turned into an assist king, and the way he can find Isak in a box like he did, especially last night against Wolves with that second goal. My word, he is able to find him. He played him in which was the one when he played him through. Was it Spurs? No, not Spurs.
It was against Liverpool when he put that.
Yes, that's it. The Liverpool one where he smashed it in. That there's relationships built there, and they now know where each other. It's sort of like where you know where your teammate is on the pitch.
Did you read that thing from the You know how a couple of the Bromley players were putting vlogs on?
Yeah.
Afterwards, and one of our fans asked, I think it was their captain, a question, say, what was the biggest surprise about playing Newcastle? And he said none of them talk to each other. They just know where each other is. I thought that was really interesting. And it's probably a similar thing with Isak.
I mean, do you know what it is? You mentioned before about like the form and that, and how we're getting all these results, and it's exactly what Anthony Gordon said: professionalism. They know they have a job to do. They know what they need to do to see games out, and they're going out there and they're doing it, and they've been doing it since mid-December. And you know what it is? It's a formula that's not breaking, and it's working really well. And there's a grit about this team, and they get this job done, and they know how to do it. And I said it earlier, that midfield 3 is just dynamite, and it's a Rolls Royce of a midfield. It's got everything. And when you combine it with the rest of what the rest of what is on the pitch, on your wings, at the defense, with Isak up front, it's just a really well-oiled machine, and it's doing everything.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I mean, even when I would say against Wolves that we didn't really get out of second gear at certain points. We just imposed ourselves on the game, and I feel like there was much more going. And I think Bruno and Joe Linton had a funny game. I think they were great at spells, and then just looked a little bit off. But then, for me, it was the centre halves. I thought Burn and Botman had fantastic games against Wolves.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Again, they were still conceded a few chances, but that could be put down to a lot of things. I thought Burn marshalled, was it Larson? Forward, absolutely bullied him all over the place. And I know he still a great chance did fall to him in either half, but I thought they were brilliant. And yeah, like you said, it's just that when we're not easy on the eye, when we're having to dig in and defend, when you're so confident in them doing so, when you've got the industrious. I mean, Tonali as well, like he was all over the place, just taking the ball off everyone. I'd love to see how many times he won possession back, or at least broke up play from Wolves yesterday. But I mean, before we get on to what we think the starting lineup's going to be, don't get me wrong, I know it's no a puzzle, because Eddie Howe's had a pretty set starting 11 in the recent games. Let's talk a little bit about who might not be there. Reports saying that Miguel Almiron might be on his way back to Atlanta, the prodigal son returning home. Daryl, would you be sad to see him go at this stage of the season? Do you feel like if he does go, we definitely need to bring someone else in who was an option from the bench?
I think I would like to see we bring a replacement in at the very least. I think the reports are suggesting that the fee could be in the region of £11 million, and if that is to be correct, then I tell you what, you snap the hands off of Atlanta and say yes, we'll take your money. And I think it's a deal that would make it's a no-brainer of a deal really for that kind of money. Again, it's whether or not it can be reinvested. And I hope it can, because Murphy's doing a fantastic job, but it still leaves you a little bit short of cover, especially in the short term where you've got no Harvey Barnes to rely on. And then you have to start thinking, it was mentioned in the group chat earlier today, is do you then start thinking about playing Tino at right wing and with Trippier in behind him? Again, that could sell you short in terms of one injury. and you're going to find yourself short in that department. And you have to include Lloyd Kelly in that as well. And Lloyd Kelly's been linked with a move. I think the money that's been reported for him isn't enough. We need to make some money back on him as well. But in terms of Almiron, I'd say thanks very much for all your efforts, Miggy. Get yourself back home.
Yeah.
I do hope he gets a proper send off, because he's one of these players
yeah.
he's been part of the full Eddie Howe revolution all the way through. Scored our first Champions League goal in however long. Had that purple patch where he looked like the second coming of Messi. So I hope he gets a proper send off and that he doesn't just sort of quietly disappear, because I think he's quite shy and he would probably try and avoid that. But I feel like we need to give him a bit of love, because as much as he's declined, he's been a top pro for us.
Yeah,
remember when he didn't score a goal for like 3 years and then he finally scored against Palace?
The place was like
crazy.
Mental. The play was we won 1-0, and he scored that with his right foot, I believe, as well.
Yeah,
which is
that sliding doors moment when he hit the post on his debut.
Yeah, against Huddersfield.
Yeah.
God, he's had such an up and down time with us.
Massively. The only person I know who, when he runs, he looks up to the sky. Zed's just giving it that all the time. I'm sorry for the audio listeners. I've just done a terrible impression of Miguel Almiron running. But yeah, I mean, Daryl's just mentioned there, Andy, about Lloyd Kelly. I mean, that's a strange one. I mean, the fact that we only just signed him in the summer, it's alleged or reported that, yes, we didn't spend any much on him on a fee, but he's on quite a sizable wage packet, apparently. But yeah, Jose Mourinho's Fenerbahce are apparently coming calling with a £6 million bid. Yeah, I wouldn't expect that to be enough to prime away just yet, as he was quite highly rated when he came to Newcastle. I think we've not really had a chance to see his best. We've certainly seen him have a couple of iffy moments. He's came off the bench and solidified a back five in some games as well. Don't get me wrong, he's had some decent performances from the bench. I mean, if the price was right, would you take the risk and just see that as a profit from a player you got on the free? I don't know how that would work on the books mind. I'm not a football accountant.
Yeah, I think we got him on the free, didn't we? So it's one of those pure profit situations with Kelly. I think with Kelly, I like him. I think he suffered because he was in the team when the whole team was poor.
Yeah.
I know we had to sort of ham-fist him into left back at one point and he just didn't quite look there, but I think you could argue that about a lot of the team. The reason we got him was because we needed a reliable body at centre half when Botman was injured, because obviously he was still out with his knee problem at the time, when Burns may be flagging and things like that. And for me, he's done that job in the squad. We know he's not the first choice centre half, and when we've got left-footed centre halves galore, and he's one of them, and I think he's all right. But I mean, yeah, unlike we've obviously got the unsellables in the team. We've got Gordon, Isak, Bruno Tonali, who you never get rid of in a million years. But with someone like Kelly, it's a bit like a Football Manager transfer when the most random team comes and buys the most random player. But maybe Mourinho's it's the Sir Bobby Robson thing. He's trying to get us some PSR money. Who knows? But if they come back saying, we'll give you 15 million for Lloyd Kelly, and then we can then sign a 30 million pound player over 3 years with amortization and all that nonsense, then you do it. It's just whether you've got stuff lined up. And we obviously all thought we were getting Gahey. We've all thought we were getting people in the past. You just don't want to leave yourself short. And it's the same with the Dubravka conversation. We were all relatively happy to let him go until we heard it was on a free, and we were just like, what the fuck are we doing? Why would we do that? So it's a bit like that with Kelly.
He's coincided with, this. I mean, I've always been the biggest Nick Pope advocate going, and thinking that him not being able to use his feet is a little bit over exacerbated. Like, so people think it's a huge issue, but I'm like, does it lead to any goals getting conceded? No, it hasn't yet anyway. But the way we've imposed ourselves on certain games, especially against lesser opposition, no disrespect to Ipswich and Leicester, but when the ball comes to him and he can clip it over their striker to our left back in a way that probably Nick Pope wouldn't be able to do, it does make a difference. And he's well thought of. You've seen the chance. Yeah, I think I'd like to keep him for another year. Definitely, if you're going to end up losing him on a free, then what's the point? I think he's still a good custodian in that number 2 slot. So let's talk about the team then. I mean, is there much to talk about, Andy? Do you think there's going to be much change? I mean, we've played last night on a Wednesday, we're playing early on a Saturday. We had the luxury of, before the Wolves game, being able to play pretty much a second string squad against Bromley with some of the sort of, like you say, the non-sellables like Bruno and Tonali and Gordon coming on in the second half. The lack of a rest you see any rotation happening?
No, I think every comment Eddie Howe's made in his press conferences, it's all just been about the consistency. So the only real question for me is the other centre half. Made a comment in the last preview about the right centre back, and I said that Shah was maybe lucky that Botman was left footed, because Shah kind of just has that position locked with no questions asked. It's always just about the other position. But there's an argument to make this season, before anyone has a go at me again, that Burn and Botman is the two best centre halves. But I know it's an argument. I'm not saying that's the correct answer, but you can have the discussion where you couldn't have maybe done that a few months ago.
I'm completely with you, Andy. I think Dan Burn in some of the games, especially the early games when we weren't playing that good and we were grinding out results, it was a colossus. He was he was throwing himself in front of everything.
The two
and
of them,
yeah, and bullying centre forwards. Is he the best centre half in the league? No, he's not. But he's playing well. But I think people just get these blinkers on where they're like, it's left back Dan Burn playing centre half. Do you know, like as in when he used to play at left back and everyone was like, why is he playing there? He's shite, all this stuff. Like to think that player's still playing centre half when the player I'm watching, I'm not saying he's Maldini, but I'm saying he's very good, and it's what he does in organising the defence, making sure everyone's about. Although against Wolves, he seemed to be running all over the place. I didn't know what he was getting up to there. He was getting a few nosebleeds going up the pitch. But yeah, I totally agree. And
the two of them are really good at doing that thing Eddie Howe likes, where the centre halves really push up if the strikers drop. They love sprinting into that gap, whereas I think Shah's a bit more reluctant to do that. But obviously Shah brings you those other qualities of, putting worldies in the top corner, diagonal passes, calmness, and a bit of extra pace and things like that. But the two of them together, like you say, it's like that Arsenal game where we were defending for our lives. It was like two Hulks just stood in front of the goal. There's no way they were ever going to score.
I think that's why he went at 5-5, because I think he just thought Arsenal are going to try and play through us. They're going to try and put balls in the box from wide, and he's probably got two of the best players. I'm not going to say two of the best players in the league, but two of the best players for that to clear it, because they're just.
Having said that, these are a much smaller team with much quickier. Wow.
Kieran Quickier.
Nice grammar. Quicker players. So then there's an argument to say, well, do you give Burn a rest this time and get Shah on there because he's got the extra legs and things? But like we say, Daryl, it's a good problem to have, isn't it?
It is. And I'll give you a one-word answer, and it's unchanged.
Unchanged. There you go. I like it. That's the name of your first studio album, that, Daryl. Daryl.
I would have thought it'd be something about trains.
Untrained. Anyway, before we go to predictions, just a quick, Daryl. I mean, we've talked about Bournemouth's injuries. There is a Beyond the Lines with Jeff from the Back of the Net podcast. If you want to try and check that out, if you remember, it should be on the channel tomorrow. He said that basically the Newcastle game's a step too far for Bournemouth because of all these injuries they've got. Like Andy said, Evan Nielsen, the Turkish centre forward, I forget his name. They're not there. So yeah, they've got 12 first team players fit. But they've still got the likes of Semenyo, 7 goals this season, 6 goals, this season, and one, is it Justin Kluivert?
Yes, it is, yeah.
He's got 7 goals this season, 6 of which are from the penalty spot. Yeah. But do you still see them type of players giving us trouble? Is that where we need to be worried about from maybe wide areas?
Yeah, I think that is going to be their key area. The key threat from them is going to be down those flanks. And, the stats for the two wingers speak for themselves. They will find a goal and they are dangerous. But again, I think, we've seen enough of them now. Tino and Hall, probably more than capable of dealing with them. And the defensive side of our game as a whole has been fairly solid. And as much as we've surrendered a few open chances to teams in recent games, I still think we've got enough to keep them at bay to a point where we can come out on top attacking wise as well.
Well, I certainly hope so. But seeing as though you've just said that, Daryl, what does your heart say? Or your head? Use either. What's the score going to be on Saturday?
Ooh, 2-1 to Newcastle.
Andy?
I agree, actually. 2-1. We've got to play better than we did against Wolves. But I still think there's enough there to get the win. Actually, no, 2-0, another clean sheet. And we're not conceding ever again in history. So.
Well, I mean, both teams have scored in 5 of the 6 Premier League meetings between Newcastle and Bournemouth. at St James's Park, thanks to Scott's little stat pack he sent us.
Okay, 2-1.
I do think both teams will score. I'm going to trying to be super positive and say 3-1. I'm going to say that maybe a 2-0 up, they bring one back, and then we sort of hit them on the break, or maybe hopefully it's just comfortable 3-0 up, and then they bring one back, like almost happened with Wolves the other night. I'm hoping that that my mate Jeff from the Bournemouth podcast was right, and maybe they're just a little bit fatigued from fighting so hard against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, and the little knocks and injuries that they have, that we can really impose ourselves. If it doesn't happen, then you'll never get any positivity from me ever again on this podcast. It's official. No, but seriously, I mean, this run's been amazing. And like I said, I won't talk about it in the past tense just yet. I think we've really got it in us to keep going and long may it continue, because like I said, if we get past this Bournemouth game, I'm like 10 wins in a row. Like, it's, like I said, I'm going to use that word, unprecedented again, because it'd just be absolutely amazing. But
the champions.
Oh,
It's not
don't do
really.
that. Well, there was a certain
Come on.
song sang from the Strawberry Corner on Wednesday night about, is this the way to Barcelona? And I thought, bit early that, isn't it? But we all seem to be having a good
That's just
time.
your pessimism again.
Yeah.
We'll just
Check
sing
your
the whole
passport
song
reviews.
instead. It's fine.
Yeah, you never know. Any more? Anything else anyone wants to bring up before we bring this roadshow
Hang
to a
on,
close?
you forgot something, haven't you?
Oh, I
The
have
number one
forgotten
feature.
something. Oh my God. I'm going to
forgot.
apologise not just to you, Daryl. I'm going to apologise to Chris, the godfather of GallowgateShots. I'm going to apologise to my mother. And I'm going to apologise to the Lord God Almighty for just messing up so badly. Before our predictions, I even had it on my notes. Before predictions, ref watch. Daryl, tell us about this referee that's going to be refereeing the game.
I wrote a time now. That's it. Sorry.
Right,
There's
end
no
it now.
ref watch.
No, we're still going to do it. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Man in the middle on Saturday is going to be Stuart Atwell from Warwickshire. Now, it's the second time we've seen Stuart Atwell this season. The last time we saw him, we went down to Portman Road and smashed Ipswich 4-0. So Alexander Isak likes scoring lots of goals in games when Stuart Atwell's in charge. We last saw Stuart Atwell at St James's Park in the 1-0 win versus Arsenal, not in last year, but in November of 2023. The controversial
I was
one.
supposed to say, was that the controversial
Oh,
one?
the disgrace.
The disgrace.
Yeah,
He
the
said
disgrace.
Embarrassing.
Yes. So that was the last time we saw Stuart Atwell at St James's. And his stats for this season, he's done 11 Premier League games, 41 yellow cards, 2 reds. And on VAR for this one, you've got Peter Banks. And we last saw Peter Banks involved in a Newcastle game in the middle of the 1-1 draw against Brighton back in October.
There you go. I am so sorry I forgot about that. Like I said, it was even on my notes.
People were about to unsubscribe there until you remember.
Yeah, we nearly
Scream
lost thousands of subscribers. Nearly switched off completely there because we didn't have ref watch.
Bring back Scott chants have happened already. Like hashtag bring back Scott. Hashtag where is Scott? Anyway, I will.
If you've seen him, let me know because we don't know where he is.
I don't. It's secret.
We need your prediction as well. The horse
Yeah.
cheese don't get out of
I
it.
said 3-1.
Oh, you did say 3-1.
All right, okay.
I think I said 3-1. Either 2-0 up, 2-1, and then we hit them on the break, or just a nice comfortable 3-0.
Was it so positive you didn't regard what you said?
Yeah.
It just went straight over your head.
I thought you must have just been lying.
Never mind. Anyway, we will draw things to a
think that's
close.
it.
Hopefully, our predictions are spot on and we keep this momentum going, baby. But in the meantime, please like the video, share the video, subscribe if you haven't already. If you haven't, what are you playing at? Comment below. Please don't give me too much abuse. It's not my fault. I forgot about Ref Watch. But you can also be a member of the channel for $2.99. Lots of exclusive content going, a lot of early access content going as well. We are striving to get as much stuff out to you as we can. But in the meantime, let's hope for a win on Saturday. Cheers, everyone. Bye-bye.
Come on.
Ta-ra.